Hello, I'm Dee Dee Duncan Proby. I'm the Bishop of Central New York, and I'm here with...
Ian Douglas, Bishop Diocesan of the Episcopal Church in Connecticut.
And we've had a very rich and fulfilling week here at the House of Bishops. Each morning we've begun with Eucharist, and we've had prayer throughout the day, and then evening prayer, and it has been a really rich time of both spiritual enrichment, but also really serious and deep conversations.
And while this House of Bishops meeting has been described as a retreat, because of the shorter format, we've done much more work together in plenary sessions, in small group table conversations, in expanded groups known as Ndaba. It's been a very full agenda.
It has, and one of the things on the agenda has been a response to the civic movements of Me Too and Time's Up, and there are many ways we could approach that. There are answers, but then there's also responses. And one of our approaches has been just to respond in an adaptive and pastoral way. And so we've offered to the Episcopal Church and to our community the opportunity for all people, all races, genders, to respond to the House of Bishops so we can hear how this brokenness and the sin of sexual abuse and harassment has impacted specifically our church. There's the wider world and the abuses that have gone on in other places, but we really wanted to hear and to respond to the abuses that have happened sadly and tragically in our church. And it's a heart-rending situation, and we're looking forward to the listening session at General Convention. We normally have had a bishop's banquet, and the bishops unanimously decided to forego the banquet and offer an opportunity to hear and to begin a pastoral response. Again, it's a beginning, it's an initial step, but it is a heartfelt and deeply pastoral one that the bishops have unanimously wanted to begin.
And Dee Dee, with our bishops gathered together in council and in prayer, responding very much to what's happening in our wider world and in our nation in particular as we continue to experience the scourge of gun violence, most recently in the wake of the shooting in Parkland. And our whole frame of conversation began with a letter from Carmen Schentrop's family, parents, a leading light and young leader in the Episcopal Church in Florida and across our nation, who sadly was killed in the shooting in Parkland and in the high school. And it was that framing, that invitation, that led us both in conversation with that network known as Bishops United Against Gun Violence, which I'm blessed to be a co-convener of, to begin to say, how might we as bishops address the reality of ongoing gun violence in our nation? And it was in significant council and conversation, both in our plenary sessions and late into the night, that bishops really decided we need to take the lead from the youth of America, who are leading us right now. And so we as bishops, in the statement that we embraced, and I want to say embraced unanimously and by acclamation, was that we need to join with the youth of our nation in challenging our nation, and particularly the legislatures in our state and in our local and in our national government, to fall behind and participate in that challenge from the Parkland youth, particularly with respect to legislation limiting the sale of assault weapons and large capacity magazines. And so I'm proud of how the Episcopal Church, in the leadership of the bishops, are following the youth of the United States. More particularly, we committed ourselves to a day of prayer, lament, and action in our diocese on March the 14th, 1 month after the Parkland shooting. And then we also said that we will be there. We will be there, both in Washington, D.C., and in those marches in our own diocese, in our locales, with the youth, to support them in this call for, really for embracing life in the face of death. So, a child shall lead us, or the youth shall lead us.
And a big part of this gathering has been about evangelism. Where is Jesus? How do we share the love of Jesus with the world? And in both of these in both of these brokennesses before us, whether it's addressing gun violence in America or sexual harassment and abuse, what would Jesus have us to do? Where is Jesus calling us to be? And I think that the child will lead us, but also that we have a responsibility to be the voice and face of God, offering mercy and healing to our world.
That really was the overall theme that held us in this week together, and that was, how do we embrace and celebrate and promote the good news of God in Jesus Christ in this nation and around this world?
That's right.
So evangelism was job one here at the House of Bishops meeting. And also at the same time, we were not unaware that we're looking at the General Convention coming down the road in July. So matters of leadership and governance in our church were also before us. We considered very briefly and in small groups, what is the nature and shape of the episcopate today? What kind of bishops does the church need and want? In light of the report of the task force on the episcopacy. So that was one of the matters that we took up as we looked towards General Convention. Also, we looked at the Standing Commission on Liturgy and Music's report and asked, what are the parameters for worship, for prayer book revision now and into the future. So we also did our church work.
We did, we did. And all of it focused on Jesus and loving Jesus and serving Jesus in the world in real and substantive ways.
It was a full and rich meeting, as you say.
It was. Well, blessings to you all, and we look forward to talking with you and seeing you when we get home to our diocese and at General Convention. Blessings to you all.
God bless.